Welcome, g'day, it's Pete Moriarty here. Thanks so much for joining live. If you are new to the show or to the channel, we help entrepreneurs systemize, organize, and scale using Google Workspace and a plethora of other best practice technology tools. And I'm all about helping small business owners play a bigger game. And so if that's you, if you're interested, hopefully you enjoy this show. If you're not yet already subscribed to our channels, jump onto our channels online, hit the little URL at the bottom of this video, and you can subscribe across all of the places. I'm primarily broadcasting on YouTube, but we do post little snippets in other places as well. So if you're live, thanks so much for joining. A couple of people saying hello already. Penny from Sydney, hello, welcome. Julie from the sunny coast. G'day, Julie. It's been a little while since we've seen each other. Great to have you here. In this session, I'm going to be covering questions from our community around scaling and growing remote teams. And so if you are on the live, you can actually go ahead and drop your questions in the comments. If you are watching the replay of this, you can put in a little hashtag repeat and you can ask any questions there as well. And I will endeavor to cover them in an upcoming session as well. So let me know. And of course, if you follow our channels, we'll be publishing, cutting this up and editing and putting this out to all of the channels. So you'll get the little snippets as well. But if you've got questions that you'd like answered by me live, please go ahead and drop them into the comments. All right, we grow people. I am well, thank you. Thanks so much for joining. Great to have you here. I'm going to work out how to get my comments showing up here. Here we go. There we go. Great. And then we've got Julie there as well. Thanks for joining, Julie. And we've got Penny as well. Hey, we've got Riley here. All right, we've got lots of questions from Riley today. So thanks for joining us. Thank you very much for joining us. And without further ado, let's jump into the show. So we have a question here from Riley. And that question is, how do I know what tasks to outsource first? How do I know, what to kind of move off my plate and send over to other people? And I love this question because I like to think of myself as a master delegator. I think delegation is one of the top skills for entrepreneurs to learn if you're wanting to grow and scale your business. And for me, the first things that I like to delegate are the things that I don't like doing. And so if you've read the book, The 4-Hour Workweek from Tim Ferriss, which is an excellent book on, creating the lifestyle and creating the business that you like, what that will help you to do is to identify, okay, what are all the tasks that need to happen in the business? And there's plenty of other systemization books as well. So what I tend to do is I'll write down all the things that I'm doing and I decide, okay, out of those things, which things do I like doing and which things do I not like doing? Which things are the best use of my time and which things are maybe not the best use of my time? And basically anything that is not quite the absolute best use of my time, I want to give that over to someone else. Now, there's another way of looking at that as well. The other way of looking at it is to look at what your actual dollar value is per hour inside the business. So what is the number of hours that you're working in the business and how many dollars do you need to generate for every hour that you're working inside the business? Now, if you're a service company and maybe you're selling your time right now, then you've probably got a little bit of an idea of what your time is worth. The general rule is to outsource or delegate anything that is not worth higher than that rate per hour. And you might think, oh, wow, there's a lot of things in life. So maybe if you're charging $100 an hour for your time or $200 an hour for your time, well, if you can get someone to come and clean your house for $40 an hour or $50 an hour, then that's probably a good move to do, to have someone to do that. So this can be applied both in the business and outside the business. Now, if you want to calculate what your time is worth, I have a video on this on our channel. So if you search, I think it's like entrepreneurial time productivity, you can search that on our YouTube channel and you'll find out how to do the calculation. But I'll give you the short version of that calculation. You take your total projected revenue for the year. So you take your goal revenue for the year. And then with that goal revenue for the year, what you're going to do is you're going to divide that by, and this is easy to remember, 2080. So 2080. It's a reverse of the 80-20 rule. Now, 2080 is a special number. That number is the number of hours that you have per year of work time. So if you take your revenue and you divide it by the number of hours that you have, you now know how much you need to be generating for your business, even if it's not you doing the work, even if you've got employees. you know how much you need to be generating for your business every hour that you work. And if you're doing things that are worth less than that amount of value per hour, then you've got a problem. So they're the best things to start with outsourcing, something that is below your time or something that you don't enjoy doing. Now, the challenge is, as you grow the business and as you turn it into an ecosystem and an organism that will hopefully run itself one day, you need to then start delegating and outsourcing things that you're actually good at. And then at the very end, you need to start delegating and outsourcing things that maybe you like doing, but maybe you're not the best person to be doing them in the business. And that's where the real challenge starts, because there's all kinds of identity crises where you like doing things, but you're not allowed to do them in the business anymore. And you doing them would cause more mess in the business than actually delegating them or giving them to someone else. And so that's when you really start to run into challenges as you're growing and scaling, because you need to effectively fire yourself from the business. And that's, of course, if your life goal is to have a business that works without you, to have a business that funds your lifestyle, to have a cash generating machine. I like to say that a business should be an ATM that just shoots out money all day long. I use a different S word for that usually. And so that's ideally for me what a business should be. It should be generating money, and I should be only doing the things that I really, 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 really love doing, and I'm the only person that can do them in the business. And so for me, IT Genius, I'm the founder. And so right now, the only thing that I should really, really be doing is being the custodian of culture in the business, being the final say on the strategy of the business and the vision on where the business should go. And then from time to time, I get my hands a little bit dirty in, the marketing. I love helping educate business owners. And so that's why I continue to present on our channels and online. But the business is to that magical point where I can step away for months at a time and it'll continue to run, continue to pay for my lifestyle. And that's basically utopia. And so that's why I continue to do these shows, is to help other business owners get a little bit closer to that, and build a business that works on your terms. Okay. So I think I've handled that question pretty well. Thank you so much for asking that. Riley, I hope I've given you a good rundown of that. Wow, we've got so many people who've joined. Hey, Amanda, great to have you here. Thank you for joining. Good to see you. Viewing from the US in Wyoming. Great. Well, I try to do these in the morning so that we can have our US friends joining. Unfortunately, we also have many customers in Europe, so we may have to do some in my afternoon so we can catch those guys as well. Graham, thanks for being here. Ulaanbaatar, I'm curious where that is. Is that in Australia? Is that an indigenous country name in Australia, or is that somewhere else in the world? Cool. Kevin, thanks for joining. Great to have you here. Okay, great. Cool. And Wiley said, I tried to connect with you and IT Genius for services, but couldn't. Well, Wiley, if you want to drop me a message on my social media, thanks for letting me know that. Just go to moriarty.co, find me on Instagram, drop me a message, and I'll work out what's gone wrong there. Cool. All right. Kevin in Brisbane on holiday. Great to have you here. And another US person from Citrus Heights in California. Awesome. All right. Must be, is it a nice time of year there at the moment? Yeah, it must be a nice time of year at the moment in California. It's August. Must be really nice. All right, cool. Well, let's move on to our next question here. Just a reminder, if you're watching live and you have any questions about building and scaling remote teams, you can drop them straight into the chat for me, and I'll catch them. Graham is in Mongolia. All right. Thanks so much for joining. Awesome. So we have a question here from Riley, which is, when and how should I bring in people to handle finance and legal in my business? And this is an excellent question, particularly for early stage business owners. I myself personally was literally a solopreneur. I started my business when I was 15, but the actual company was launched when I was 20 years old. And going into entrepreneurship is pretty scary, because all of a sudden you're thrust into the wilderness with all of these responsibilities on you, like legal, like finance, taking care of staff, HR, and employment. And you basically got a lot of things to do and to manage and to learn as well, and all at the same time. Now, when you're thinking about managing things like finance and legal, I would say the first ones to make sure you get right are, of course, those that are going to get you in the most trouble if you get them wrong. So having enough money is probably pretty important. Legal is probably pretty important as well. And these are the things that you're probably going to start having outsourced in the business, and you're probably going to have them outsourced for a very long time. It's not until you're going to be at least 20, 30, 40 employees and above that you might consider having maybe an internal bookkeeper or an internal accountant or an internal lawyer. Eventually, businesses will get to the stage where they go in and hire those kind of roles, but they're probably typically going to be the last ones. And so the skill that you need to actually build there is vendor selection. And a vendor selection basically means like, who are you going to be working with who's going to be supporting your business? And that means that you probably don't just want to hire the first person who walks through the door who's an accountant, or just one recommendation from one friend. You probably want to interview different people, and you want to build a process around choosing the right kind of vendors for your business, because you're going to have different stages of business, and you're going to have different needs as those stages of business grow, as you scale and grow your team. And you're going to have potentially different needs, and you're probably going to cycle through different vendors as that happens. And so you want to get good at picking people who are going to be aligned to your business. You're going to have some that work out. You're going to have some that don't work out as well. But I typically respond to most business challenges with trying to get the perfect process. And then once I've got the perfect process, then it's just a matter of repeating that process, repeating that best practice process. So the process that we're building here is, how do you select a great vendor? And once you've selected a great vendor, how do you manage them to make sure that they're aligned to your business and that they're supporting your business well as well? So what might that look like if you're working with an accountant or a lawyer or someone outsourced in the business? Well, it might look like, do they get the business? Have they done work in the industry before, and have they worked with similar businesses to yours? If you're a service business, have they worked with service businesses? If you're a product business, have they worked with product? If you're e-com, probably every product business is an e-com business these days. If you're e-com, have they specifically worked with e-com businesses? And that's the kind of thing that I would ask in an interview. I'd either buy them lunch or have a coffee or something like that, or a Zoom meeting these days in the pandemic days, and say, hey, tell me about the kind of businesses that you've worked with in the past. What businesses like mine have you worked with? Then I would want to know, are they aligned on culture and vision? So I would share the vision of our business. I would share, what our business is like. I would share what I'm like to work with. I've got a pretty good idea now, working with myself for a while, what my strengths are, where I'm not so good. And I would share with them, hey, what do you think it's going to be like with us working together? How will you choose to work with a founder like me? What will you bring to the table that's going to be in alignment with where we want to go, with who I am as a founder, and with the team that I want to build as well? And get a bit of an idea of, okay, are we going to be a good fit together? And I'd approach this a little bit like you're approaching hiring someone. And the golden rule with hiring is, you start with a no, and you only allow someone to convince you to a yes or a maybe if they're the perfect candidate. And so you want to be doing the same kind of thing. You want to start with, I'm not going to hire this person, and let me see if they can convince me that they're either a maybe or a potential yes. And you want to do that with a couple of people, and see if you can find someone who's the perfect fit for your business. Because the challenge with bringing someone on like accounting or like legal is eventually you will probably change at some point during the business journey. And that can be a bit of a challenge. It's like kind of changing relationships, because there is a component of relationship there, but you also have all of the practicals of the actual work that they're doing for you. And it's a pretty big disruption to need to change from one vendor to another vendor. It's just like, replacing a staff member in the business. You need to actually have someone hand over all the things they were doing. You're going to find gaps in things they weren't doing great. And then you need to brief and hand it over to the new person who's come into the business, which is going to take some additional effort as well. So I think that's answered. How should I bring in people to handle finance and legal and everything else in the business? I want to talk a little bit more about when is the right time to actually bring on people like that inside the business. Well, you're going to have to start basically having consultants in the business probably from day one. But remember that you also have the option to upskill yourself as well. And so you always have the option inside your business to actually do the upskilling of yourself, and that will save you some time and some effort with outsourcing. And that becomes a delicate balance. You only have two things that you can leverage. You can either leverage your time or you can leverage your money. And so when we're outsourcing or delegating to someone else outside the business, or even technically inside the business, what we're doing is we're leveraging our money. We're saying, okay, I don't have the time to do this, and I'm asking you to do it. So you're leveraging your money for that person to get the effort done or to get the work done. But you also have the ability to leverage your own time by upskilling yourself. Now, if you're an early stage entrepreneur and you're literally in launch mode or startup mode, there's going to be quite a lot that you're doing yourself. But I have the firm belief that as much as possible, you want to get things off your plate. And I would even say for the first 5 years in business, sacrificing profit to get more things delegated to more people and leveraging as much as possible the additional revenue that you have available in the business to, excuse me, leverage as much as possible leverage as much as possible the revenue that you have in the business that would normally go to profit and use that to actually delegate and outsource to other people. Because the golden rule of small business is you want to get to 20 employees. Once a business typically gets to 20 employees, that's the point where the founder can start to step back a little from the business, put in some managers in place, and you basically get to the point where you unlock the freedom of being a business owner. Now, this obviously varies from industry to industry, but this is what it looks like on our growth roadmap. So if you haven't already been to our channel and checked out the growth roadmap, just go a search on YouTube and you'll find it, and we'll link to this video down below in the show notes. But the growth roadmap is basically once you get to this scale stage, you're over 20 employees. Once you're at 20 employees, then basically your role as a business founder is to manage the culture, is to manage the the overall strategy, basically the position that I'm in as well. But you're no longer really needed or involved in the business day to day anymore. And what that means is that a lot of that is handed off to other people, which is pretty cool. Okay. All right, we've got some more people joining us live. Thank you so much for joining. Wiley, Louisiana is present. Excellent. Great to have you here. Tracy, 100-degree weather. That sounds a bit hot in California. And I think that's just down the road in Colorado, in Denver. Ali, thank you so much for joining. Great to have you here. Cool. All right, hope you're enjoying this, guys. All right, bit more of a specific market question here. Riley has asked, how should I approach hiring locally in Australia for videography and photography? And I've got I've got a bit of an interesting response to this one. Yes, Riley, you can hire locally for videography and photography in Australia, but I would consider potentially hiring offshore for that. We have a hybrid business and we have a large team in the Philippines. Our business is headquartered in Australia, and we have customers all over the world. So we're quite an interesting company in that we're fully remote. We have absolutely everyone working at home, and across our group of companies, we've got about 50 employees at the moment, everyone working 100% full-time from home, including myself and our CEO, Scott, who is in Melbourne. And we have the rest of our team actually based in the Philippines. And so for our business, for the service that we provide, it's a very scaled business. We aim to be a low-cost, very affordable provider for business owners with a concierge product. And for that, we've chosen to hire labor in the Philippines. And we have an absolutely amazing team. Primarily in the Philippines, we do have some people who are dotted around in different spots from time to time as well. Now, when it comes to creative businesses, most business owners will hire somebody local, somebody in the same place as them. And there's plenty of video editing customers that we have who are small business owners who I have good relationship with, who are down in somewhere trendy like Melbourne or in Sydney, and they've got their editing team that sit with them in the office and actually work with them on a day-to-day basis. However, there is also the big advantage of hiring talent offshore, which can give your company a pretty cool strategic advantage over competitors if you're interested in considering an international team. And so we have quite a large marketing team, about 6-ish people on the marketing team full time. And so we have creative editors, we have writers, we have social media team, we have SEO experts who are working on ranking. We have, obviously management doing strategy and reporting and analytics and all of those kind of things. And we have those team members offshore from Australia. Now, the reason for that, number one, is of course that we can get talent at a much cheaper rate because we have the difference in economies. And in the Philippines, it's about 1/4, sometimes as low as 1/5 of the salary of a full-timer in Australia, which makes a pretty awesome advantage for businesses that are looking to grow an international team. Companies have been doing this for a long time. It's not new, but what is new is in the last 10 years is this has become available to small business owners. And so what I would say is to do a task audit. And when you do a task audit, that's basically looking at, okay, what things must be done in country? What things must be done here? And there is a YouTuber that I know who's local, and he said that, okay, well, when I present a video and I create the video, I want to be able to publish it to my channel within 3 to 4 hours because I'm talking about market updates daily and I want my viewers to be able to see that immediately. Okay, well, that would be the case where you probably want to hire someone who's literally in the same place as you or do it yourself because you have a very, very rapid turnaround that is required. The other liability of hiring remotely is that you need to do management of someone who's not necessarily in the same room as you. So that's where the question is, perhaps, okay, can you run a remote business where people are working from home? Or do you want to run a business where people come to one place and get work done together? Now, at the time of recording this video, it's 2022, and everyone has been kind of unplugged from the matrix and is, kind of coming out of that older mindset of we must be in the same place to be able to get work done together. And companies post-pandemic are now attempting to get people to come back into the office, but not everyone wants to come back into the office. And so I've been saying to my team for a while, I think everyone's been unplugged from the matrix, and I don't think they can be put back in. I don't think we're ever going to go back to 5 days in one place in an office. And that's going to be dictated by the workforce who now have received all the benefits of working from home and having a flexible workplace and now no longer want to go back to the old way of doing things. And so for you as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, your responsibility is to manage the talent in your business. And you need to decide, okay, well, what kind of business do I want to build and how can I attract the right talent to get the work done that needs to be done? And so if you want to attract the right talent to get the work done that needs to be done, okay, well, how am I going to set up the best possible workplace so that people can bring their skills, so they can bring their superpowers, and they can generate a great economic result for the business? Because your job is to architect a machine. We want to architect a machine. We want to have people come in. We want to have fair exchange with those people that come in. We want to pay them fair exchange for what they're generating, and then we want to effectively build and expand this machine. That's capitalism 101, right? And it poops out profit for us as the shareholders of the business. Now, what you're looking at then with your labor is, okay, what are the actual tasks that need to be done? Can they be done remotely and take advantage of an international team, or must they be done locally? And if they must be done locally, okay, cool, then we will choose to potentially hire locally. So we've covered, kind of how should I approach the remote versus local question. The next thing that we can talk about is, okay, specifically for creative roles, how could you hire? Now, you can jump straight onto job websites and that kind of thing and, look for someone who is a fit for your business. That's certainly one way of doing it. You're probably going to get a high influx of resumes, and you're probably going to get a whole bunch of B players who are just like throwing their resume at a bunch of different companies. When we've hired people, sometimes we call them and we say, hey, thanks very much for putting in your cover letter. It's Pete calling from IT Genius. I just want to, maybe hook you up for an interview. And they'll say, oh, what company is that again? And it's like, oh, wow, you really cared about working for us. So over time, we've developed a bit of a different way of hiring. And we really want to hire for culture fit. We really want to hire for people who are aligned to the mission. And we want to look for A players. Now, it's not to say that we're looking for superstars in absolutely every role, but you certainly do want to be finding people who are going to be solid to help you grow the business, and people who are mission and vision aligned to the business to do the absolute best possible. So something that we did was we actually set up a careers page on our website. And on that careers page on our website, it actually has a little bit of a founder's letter from myself, telling people what the business is about. And then we also included a little bit about our company, some of the activities that we do. We shared our values and part of our mission in where we want to take the company. We also have our Glassdoor ratings. And so Glassdoor is a way for employees to actually rate the companies that they work at. And we created a video with some of our team, specifically some of the new people who had joined the company recently, on what the experience is like working with us. Something else that we did is we have a form here with all of the open jobs that are available at any point. And you're welcome to go and read our job ads and see how we attract great candidates into our business by the way that they are written. But also, you'll see here that we've actually created just recently some videos explaining some of the roles that are open. And in those videos, we talk about what the role is going to be, who you're going to be working with, and what is going to be expected of you in the role. And so going above and beyond in your hiring process and your recruitment process is going to more likely net you more quality candidates to join the business. And absolutely everything in business comes down to, are you vision, mission, and values aligned? That's the spearhead of the business, your mission, your vision, your values, and are they intrinsically brought down through the whole business? And we've got some other videos on our channel that cover team building things. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can even jump into our remote work playbook. And that is a free course now available to anyone who transfers your billing into us. We recorded that previously and released it just to our concierge customers, which is a paid product for the year. But we've now actually made that available for free. And so you get access to that inside Genius Academy. If you're interested in Genius Academy, just click on the links down below this video and jump onto our transfer in offer. When you transfer your billing to us, you get access to a number of professionally recorded videos and our remote work playbook. The remote work playbook was an 8-webinar series where we basically lifted the lid on everything that we do to run a successful remote team. And we did that during COVID when everyone was kind of learning how to run their business remotely. We had been already doing that for 6 years prior. So we knew all the tricks and had gone down a bunch of dead ends already, learned the hard way. And so we now share that with you for free. All right. Cool. All right. What have we got here? We've got someone else who just joined. Cool. Video settings is now a sprocket. Okay. All right. Just noticed the change. Okay. Thanks, Ali. I'm not sure what that's related to, but welcome. Cool. Okie dokie. Cool. So we've got another question here from Riley. I've also got a B camera set up. Isn't that sexy? Doesn't that look great? I don't know what we're going to use that for, but we are recording on the B camera as well, just in case our editors want some extra shots. Okay. Riley asks, how can I create systems for creatives working for my company to complete and be ranked on their performance? Wow, what a beautiful question. There is so much here that I can cover, and so much I love about this question. I think this is this is really the ultimate question, isn't it? How do we make sure that people are doing great work in our company? And how do we measure and monitor that? And then, how do we use that performance from our team to build an economic engine that is going to help grow the business and succeed in the business? If you're a CEO or a founder entrepreneur who is running your business, your number one job is the survival of the organization, but also the expansion of the organization as well. And so, whatever your impact goal is, whoever the customers are that you serve, your job is to serve more customers, and your job is to generate returns by serving more customers. And so to do that, our lever is performance. Our lever is getting our people to do the work. So how do we do that? Creating systems is quite a simple and straightforward process. And if you search our YouTube channel for the word systems, a number of videos are going to show up. I'm going to share with you in those videos things like how to create great systems for your business. So how to actually write the systems on how to do things. Number 2, I'm going to share how to document those systems and share them with your team. And then number 3, I'm going to share some other tools using technology tools on how we actually track and measure who's running those systems. Are they running them correctly? Are they doing them on time? And the actual management of the delegation process as well. So I won't go into detail on all three of those, but what I will show you is one of the systems that is absolutely central to creating great systems inside your business. Now, for us, we use Google Sites for this, and we call it the Genius Net. And this is effectively an intranet for our business where we store all of our systems, processes, and how-tos for everything that happens inside the business. And this is the place where we document everything that needs to happen, who does it, and how it's actually done. And this is taken from the concepts of an author. His name is Michael Gerber. He wrote a book called The E-Myth Revisited, and that is basically 101 on creating a business that can work without you. Michael Gerber teaches you how to create a standard operating procedures manual for the business, which allows you to document the way things are done, get them out of your head as the business owner and onto paper somewhere. He probably recommends actual paper, but we have this done digitally. And then from there, you get freedom as a business owner. You get freedom as an entrepreneur because everything that you can document, you can delegate and actually give to someone else. And as I've said at other moments, that's probably the number one skill for business owners to master is the skill of delegation and just getting really, really, really lazy and getting things off your plate and onto the plate of anyone else. So let me show you what our intranet actually looks like. You can see here, this is probably our most popular section is the newbies guide, which is onboarding new staff members. Now, if you've ever worked for someone else, and I did have one job, I was actually hired by one of my clients for a year when I was 19. And I started in that job and it took me 6 weeks to work out what the F was going on in that business because the business owner was training me manually. And while they were training me manually, they were trying to do their work. I was trying to do my work as well. And it just took a long time for me to work out what was actually going on because nothing was documented in the business. It was a small business. There were 4 employees in the business and no one had written anything down on how to actually do things. And the person that I was taking over from was exiting the business. They hung around for a week or two and then they were gone. And so just documenting your onboarding process is probably the best place to start with a business and helping your newbies get started. So you'll see here that we've got a pretty detailed documentation starting with what someone's key tasks are, what the tools are that we use inside the business, sharing with the team how to check in, how to check out at the start and the end of their day, because we work remotely. That's pretty important that the team know what we're all up to. We have a traffic light system, which lets other team members know what our capacity is to take on more work or not. You can see that we've got a checklist of things that we need from employees within their first week. And then there's a rundown on all of the different apps that we use inside the business and what they are for. Now, we've even got training videos on each different area in the business, starting from culture, starting from mission, starting to how we work together, right down to how do you actually use the phone system that we use, which is Dialpad. So training on the very practical elements of things as well. You'll also see that we have a whole guide here on who we are as a team. You can see some of our values are documented here in the newbies guide as well. And what that does is it really gives the new people who join our company an indoctrination on who we are as a business. And so that process is obviously run by someone who is on the HR team. We call them the Empower team because it's their job to empower everyone else in the company. And so we have those people running this process, taking the newbies through the newbies guide, and the newbies get to the end of it and they're onboarded in about a week. Rather than taking 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 weeks to start someone new, they're onboarded in about a week. Okay, so how do we do some of the more practical elements of our work? Okay, well, let's have a look at what the finance team are up to and how they document their systems and processes. So we've got our billing system, which is called Bill. And in here, I'm going to go and try and find some processes here. Here we go. So you can see when someone documents a process, they've got the steps documented. We've even got some helpful screenshots in here. We've got some notes here. So all of this stuff has been documented. So when someone new comes into the company and the finance manager says, hey, I need you to update this customer's information, then there is a process documented. And you can see here there are processes for absolutely everything, for refunds, domain names, G Suite licenses, Dialpad renewal, concierge billing. Absolutely everything has been documented here in finance. And that's because our head of finance, Regina, onboards new team members all the time. She's got a team of, 4 or 5 people in finance right now. It would be an absolute headache for her to have to retrain new people all the time as they are entering the business. So creating systems for creatives is no different to creating systems for anyone inside the business. Now, the second part of the question here is, well, how do you, get people to be ranked on their performance? How do you actually make sure that people are actually doing what they say they are doing? Well, for that, we use a shared task management system for the business. Now, whether you're just using Google Tasks, which would be like the absolute basics, I'd probably only recommend that if you've got 1 or 2 people in the business, or something more sophisticated like Asana, Trello, Monday.com, all kinds of different apps, ClickUp, Rike, there's a million. A shared task management system is going to be what's best to help you out with that. And so we happen to use Asana. This is my content creation board. You can see here that we've got, we literally have hundreds of projects in here across all of the teams in our company. This happens to be a board of different content that I'm creating for the channel. Right here, I'm working on this one today, and I've got all of my notes here ready to go. And as soon as I've recorded it, I'll hand it over to the team here to take care of it. But what this might look like if, for example, I'm in my production board, is I've got different lists of tasks. And in my different lists of tasks, I can delegate them to different team members. I'll zoom in here so you guys can see a little bit better. And from here, I can set due dates. I can have the team members complete them. We can have comments and updates on each individual task when we want. And let's, for example, jump into an individual task and let you see what that looks like here. So we've got a task to edit a feature video. It's currently assigned to Clarissa. This one is running a little bit behind. It's overdue. And there is an approval task for myself, and it's my job to actually approve that video before it then goes live. That's probably why she's late, because I haven't approved the video. So the very basics of getting stuff done with other team members should be handled by a task management system. And we've got plenty of videos on choosing the perfect system for your business. If you just search Asana in our YouTube channel, you'll find lots of videos on how to choose the perfect task management system, how to actually set it up, what kind of features you should be looking for. And there's also a great video on how to make great technology choices for your business as well in our channel too. So make sure you check both of those out. That's the basics of systemizing your business. If you can document all the systems, and then you can have a way of knowing who's doing what in the business, whether or not they've completed it via a task management system, that's going to get you like 80% of the way there. When you talk about performance, it's important to look at things like KPIs. And I've got videos on creating good KPIs and performance systems for the business as well. But if you don't have the basics set up with documenting processes, that's going to be most of your headache gone. Okay, so we have a question here. Oh, we've got a couple of other people that have joined. What's up, Christian? Good to see you, mate. Great to have you here. And Michael and Div. Maybe, Michael, you're tagging Div there. Thanks so much for joining, team. Great to have you. All right, cool. Hopefully that one was useful. I've just got so much on the channel about this content, so go and check it out. If you are a larger business and you're interested in really tracking the performance of your business, then you can use something like Google Data Studio. And Google Data Studio will actually let you create a dashboard for the performance of your business. Now, I'm going to try and bring up one of my dashboards in the background here, see if I've got any live that I can share with you guys. I'm going to try and find one. They're a little bit slow to load sometimes. But you really want to check out our growth roadmap and check out the videos on our growth roadmap, because what this is going to identify is what tech you should be implementing for different stages of your business. There's so many tools and there's so many, different things that need to be set up as a business grows. You want to focus on what's most important. And so if you're a solopreneur and you're in launch stage, you want to make sure that backups are correct, your passwords are protected, and you've got your absolute basics of email set up properly inside of Workspace. That's the main things you want to be doing. Okay, next, if you're in startup, you can see here, I've got the Asana logo for tasks. And then you want to make sure your Google Drive is well organized, so you can find all of the things that you need to work on in your business. Then when you get to growth stage and you've got more than 3 or 4 people, you're starting to become a real growing business. that's when you want to look at a CRM system. What's the right phone system? Start automating some processes in the business. But if you're a launch founder, you probably don't want to focus too much on trying to automate everything. It might be too much time for you to worry about when you're really just trying to prove the business model. So this is what where is it? Here we go. This is what a dashboard looks like if you're interested in building a business dashboard. And this is really for businesses that have got 20 employees or more. What that's going to do is show you real-time statistics on the business from your billing system or from your accounting system, and help you to make great executive decisions based on the longer-term trends of the business. Again, not something that is relevant if you are an early-stage business and you may be in the launch and the startup. But you can see here, once you hit scale, more than 20 employees, we've got that little Google Data Studio logo there. And that's where you want to be starting to build more insights inside the business. All right, Scott Donald. Geez, I haven't seen you in a long time, buddy. It's probably been about 10 years. Holy crap. Scott and I used to rent an office together in Crow's Nest where IT Genius was founded. Good to see you, Scott. Great to have you here, mate. I'm still doing the same stuff. I'm still telling people to document shit in Google Sites. It hasn't changed. Oops, I should be careful of my language. I don't want to get our channel demonetized. Okay, great. So, all right, here we go. So we have a question from Riley here. Any tips for onboarding new clients to ensure they have a great first experience with your brand? Not including over-delivering. Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. Well, I think over-delivering a little bit is probably a good idea, but not over-delivering too much. Not so much that it hurts you or it hurts the business. So onboarding new customers is just a matter of having a great process for that. Now, we use Google Sites to document all of the processes in our business, and onboarding a customer should just be a process and a system that is created inside of Google Sites. Now, I actually have a video on our channel on the system for creating systems. And so that is a system for how to write really great business systems. So head to our channel, search for systems, and you should find that video if you want to check that out. But you'll see here inside our Genius Net, we call it, which is our intranet, you can see that we've got Engage, Deliver. They are our two client delivery teams. And so the Engage team are those that are working with the customers on an account management basis, and the Deliver team are the ones who are delivering projects. Oh, and we also have the support team as well. So we have the support team as well here. And so all of those systems that we work with inside a business is actually delivering to our customers, and they are all documented in here. And so this is a ticket management one. We have a scoping guide that's been delivered. Guessing that's an embedded product. Yep, there we go. We've got an embedded spreadsheet here. So all of our scoping has been added into there. And this is basically the place where we document absolutely everything. Now, the most important thing if you're considering how to onboard customers is to design this as a process with the thought in the back of your mind, how can I create the most perfect customer journey for my customer? How can I make sure that along every step of the way, the customer is having a delightful experience? Now, there's something about customer psychology that is really important to think about here, and that is that when you have a customer who has just handed over their money, they've just signed the contract, and they've just got started with you, that's the most important time for them to have a great experience. Because when we buy something, what happens in the background psychologically? Well, there's the potential for buyer's remorse. We've just trusted someone. And so in that moment, we want to make sure that we're actually, we haven't made a bad decision, because we're going to feel bad if we've made a bad decision, and that's not going to help us. And so I like to use the cafe analogy for this when you're onboarding a new customer or when you're thinking about customer experience. And when you go to a cafe and you've been going there for a long time, and over 5 months, maybe you've bought 5 sandwiches, right? If the cafe makes a crappy sandwich, I've got to be really careful with my swearing here, guys. In Australia, we call it an S sandwich. If the cafe makes a crappy sandwich, then what happens is you've got 5 good sandwiches and you've got 1 crappy sandwich, right? And so the amount of data that you have, you say, oh, you know what? Yeah, it's not too bad. I've always had good sandwiches here. Maybe a little bit off at the moment, right? So if you have not a great experience right off the bat, let's say you go to a new cafe, you try a sandwich, first sandwich you have is a crap sandwich, you're probably not going to go back there. So that's the moment where it's most important for the customer to have a great experience. And so over time, you want to make sure that the experience is really great, but the initial part of that experience is very, very, very important. So what you want to do is, especially with your onboarding process, is to make sure, okay, what is the best way that this customer can be perhaps handed over from the sales process inside your business to the delivery process inside your business? Is there opportunity for the customer to give feedback? Is there opportunity to measure how well you're doing with the customer? Do your team have performance incentives to make sure that the customer has a good experience? For example, when we do a migration to Google Workspace, if a customer is currently running Office 365 or they're switching from another platform into the Google ecosystem, we created a KPI, which is sale to sign off. And that's the number of days between the day that the sale happened and we get a positive sign off from the customer. And what that KPI means is that the team are actually incentivized to make sure that we deliver quickly to the customers. Now, they also need to deliver quality as well. So that is also measured. They have those two KPIs that work in tandem. We don't want to deliver so quickly that the customer has a poor experience. But you do want to make sure that you have your team incentivized actually moving through that process. Cool. So that's where you want to work on with onboarding. You want to make sure that the customer is having a great journey along the way, and importantly, having a great first experience. One of the beauties of documenting systems is you get to actually, inject your own founder culture into the way that things are done inside the business. Now, there's probably going to be a little bit of a difference between how you do things as a founder in a business and how your team just naturally do things, right? They may have had a different upbringing. They're not the owner of the business, so they don't have their name on the door. They don't have the same, experience in the way that they deliver versus the way that you deliver. I remember when I started my business, my dad taught me, how do you answer the phone? How do you look after a customer who's maybe upset with you? How do you bring a customer on and have them feel like they're important to you as a customer and important to the business? And those things don't necessarily come naturally to team members that I then hired inside the business. And so what I did was I documented systems on, okay, how can we delight our customers? How can we deliver what we call internally service plus one? How can we have customers who have a great experience and actually document that into the systems? And so the way that I want things to be done, for the most part, can be actually carried out by the team. Now, amazing timing. We have a customer who is not 100% happy with us. I'm not afraid to share that. G'day, Graham has said, been 12 months and not had a positive experience. Could you PM me Scott's contacts for follow-up? Thanks. Graham, could you send me a message? Because I might not have, actually, don't worry about it, Graham. I'll make a note. And what I'll do is I will follow up that with you directly. Thank you for letting me know. I will get to the bottom of that with Scott. And we would really appreciate your feedback on how things have gone. There we go. That's how you handle a customer who needs some help. But Graham, I would like to know what's going on as well. So I'll follow up and let the team know to connect with you. Thank you very much for letting us know. There's something important in how you can handle feedback as a business owner. For many customers, giving feedback is something that they don't necessarily bother doing. So, Graham, I want to say thank you very much for actually giving feedback to us, because you could have just taken your money elsewhere and not given us the gift of your feedback. For many people, when they don't get a good experience from a brand, they will just go and shop elsewhere. But that doesn't help the business to actually improve, number one. But number two, you don't owe us anything. If you didn't get a good experience, great, you can go spend your money somewhere else. But you've actually gone out of your way to share feedback. And for that, I really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, cool. We're going to go on to our next question. How to ensure employees are aligned with the core company values, especially after they've been with the company for a long time? This is a great question, and I think this is probably one of the most important things for a founder to manage, which is company culture and basically being not only the custodian, but also the police person of company culture. You want to make sure that you are actually keeping the culture in check. And that's really, really important for a business owner. Now, there is a concept of management by walking around, which I think was from one of the HP founders. And that concept, I think, can be applied no matter whether you have a literal office that you can walk around or if you're running a remote team. And so what I like to do personally is I like to see how are our team actually delivering on the front lines. And every now and again, even though we process hundreds, sometimes thousands of support requests per week from our customers, I'll actually log into our support desk and I'll read some of the tickets and I'll just see what kind of experiences are our customers having. I have our Facebook page on my mobile phone on our business account. And so I can log into the chat and see what kind of chat requests customers are coming through with. And every now and again, pretty often actually, because I'm quite picky, I'll find things that I don't think are going great with the way that we're delivering to our customers from somebody that I've never met before in the company, a frontline worker who's just been delivering to our customers. But there is a difference between how Pete wants things to be done and how things are actually being delivered to the customer. And so what I will do in that instance is I'll take a screenshot, I'll send it to the leaders and the management because it's their job to do something about it rather than, jumping in and meddling with the individual team member. And I send that to the leadership team and say, hey, this is something that I think is out of alignment with our culture. It's out of alignment with the way that we have set up the business. It's out of alignment with, how I think things should be done. And the team are then able to create corrective action. We're in a new world right now, and that is very democratic in customers' ability to give feedback to businesses. In the old days, customers would just vote with their wallets and they would go somewhere else if they didn't have a good experience with a business. But now we have social media, we have Google ratings, you have Google Maps, people can shout you out and tear you down and cancel you all over the internet. And so it's very important for for businesses to give customers a great experience because the liability for your business is, not only that you lose one customer, that you potentially lose multiple customers if your reputation does not hold up for how you actually deliver. And so for you as a business owner, your number one job is making sure you manage culture. Well, how do you then actually do that? How do you communicate culture to your team? Well, one of the things that we do is that we actually share our mission and our values with our team members. That all lives inside our intranet. And so all of our values are documented. But some of the more practical things that we do is when we're leading and managing our team, every week when we have our weekly catch-ups, we'll do things like shout out and thank different team members who have actually demonstrated values on that particular week. And when we have our once a month all hands and we bring everyone together into one meeting, we actually have the genius of the week. And that's basically an opportunity for everyone to share together our company values. And with our company values, they will actually shout out different team members who have demonstrated their different values in the way that they have delivered inside the business. So what that might look like is, for example, I'll say, hey, Scott, you know what? This week, I really want to acknowledge you for showing the way and creating change through leadership. The way that you handled that one particular customer challenge really showed leadership in the way that you were operating. And I really want to say thank you for that. And the other rule that we have when we do the Genius of the Week is that you're not allowed to shout out your manager and you're not allowed to shout out someone in your team. You've actually got to shout out across different teams. And that obviously fosters, different teams working together. To use corporate lingo, breaking down the silos. I love it. And so that's how we do. That's how we do team shout outs. That's one of the ways that we handle team culture. If you're interested in learning more about that, jump into our free Genius Academy. And we actually have in our remote work playbook a number of videos that go into more depth in the things that we do to connect a remote team on culture. We have something that happens pretty regularly called TGIT. Thank God it's Thursday because it happens on a Thursday. And that's where we hang out as a team, all remotely, jump on one Google Meet. We play games together online. Sometimes the team will watch a movie. We have talent quests. Every time a newbie joins the business, the newbie has to actually do a talent quest, sing a song, do a dance, play guitar, some of the things that we do to connect the team. And we cover a few more of those in our Genius Academy. So to get access to that, jump on the link below and you can join our billing transfer in offer. And once you've transferred your billing into us, you get free access to Genius Academy, and that has all of our webinars, masterclasses, and courses, including a remote work playbook, which includes that in there as well. All right, cool. Hello, Lisa. How you going? Great to have you. Great to have you watching live. Thanks so much for joining. I love the excitement there. Okay, Riley asks, what has been your hardest challenge with scaling your business? Wow, what a beautiful question. I've been in business for a long time. I started this business when I was 15 years old. I officially started the company when I was 20 and hired my first employee 6 months on, and then continued growing and scaling it from there. I'm 33 years old now, so it's been a pretty interesting ride in business. I never went to college or university or anything. I just jumped straight in and learned along the way. And I'm still learning, every day still learning on this journey of business. I think the biggest challenge for me has been, understanding and learning that, business growth and business leadership is fundamentally a personal growth journey. And the personal growth of an entrepreneur is always going to limit the growth of a business. And so your ability to lead, your ability to learn, your ability to fix problems, your ability to bring people together, your ability to make great strategic moves is all going to be limited by what's going on in here, what's going on in here for you, and that's going to reverberate into everything else that you're doing in your life. And therefore, if your business is a pretty big part of your life, that's also going to be limited and intrinsically connected to that as well. And I didn't realize that when I started the business. It wasn't until one of my mentors, Cohen Ray, shared that with me that I went, yeah, you know what? That's absolutely right. And once I heard that my personal growth was going to be the number one thing that limited my business growth, immediately I started seeing all of the different ways that if I had a personal challenge or if I had a personal blind spot or a personal incompetency, that was showing up somehow in the business. And so it's pretty easy now for me to find those kind of things because I'm clued onto it. Anytime something's not working in the business, I look at that and I go, okay, where is the bottleneck and am I the bottleneck? And if I'm the bottleneck, in what ways is my own behavior or my own patterns or my own traits somehow potentially holding back the business? And so we rely on our growth roadmap for different stages of business. This is primarily to explain different technology changes and technology, growth stages as a business goes through different levels of maturity. But what you could also do if you were to look at the different stages of business that we've outlined here is to think about, what kind of personality challenges do you potentially need to handle as the business grows through different stages here? For example, a business that's in startup stage and has 2 to 3 people inside the company is probably going to be able to handle delegation pretty easily. You're probably going to be able to handle task management for your team pretty easily. You're probably going to be able to keep everyone in check on culture pretty easily because you're literally going to be the person who is managing and leading those employees every day of the week. But once you get to the growth stage and you get to about 8, 9, or 10 employees, what starts to happen is you cannot effectively manage every one of those people on an individual level anymore. And you have, either your first manager hired or you promote someone to a team leader position. And they are then the person who has the direct interface with some of your employees. And you may then become one step away. Now, what starts to happen then is you begin to be one step away from the culture, one step away from the delivery, one step away from the management. And it becomes much more important that you are actually managing the culture of the business and standardizing the processes of the business and standardizing the strategy of the business and standardizing the delivery of the business so that the business can actually continue to grow and to scale. And that requires different skills from you as the founder. As the business grows and scales, you're literally going to have to change the way that you are working as the business changes. Now, many of us grew a business or started a business accidentally or grew a team accidentally. For many of us, if you've started as what Michael Gerber would call a technician, you're the one just doing the work, billing the hours and doing the thing. if you started hiring people to help you out, you probably didn't or may not have had the ambition to actually start a business that became an organism outside yourself from scratch. And many business owners will actually get to the stage where, maybe they're in the growth stage of the business and the company has turned into this organism. And all of a sudden, they're spending their time on finance, on legal, on managing people, on HR, on dealing with customer problems, because you don't get the customer celebrations. You just get the customer problems at the top. And when you're the founder and you're well outside the business, you just get the really hairy customer problems, all the customers that want to sue you. And many business owners will get to that stage and go, hold on, I didn't sign up for this. I signed up to this business to help people. I signed up to this business because I enjoyed being an accountant or being a photographer or running events or delighting my customers by creating great products for them. And the interesting thing is, along that journey, your role will literally change and potentially completely different to the way that it started. So it's a good idea to have a bit of a roadmap of where you're going. I'm quite lucky in that I've always had the ambition to grow a business, to grow a successful large organization. That's always been my ambition. And so for me, it didn't really matter that it was in tech. I really love helping people. I really love having impact with the way that we do things. But first and foremost, I enjoy business. And so it didn't really matter as my role was growing and changing. I was able to kind of say to myself, all right, well, this is just the role that I have in business. And this is just the journey that I have in business. And I can enjoy the journey. But it's a good idea for you to have an idea of where you're going. And that comes down to lifestyle design. I've got a video on my channel about lifestyle design if you want to go and check that out specifically. But lifestyle design is really about working out, okay, where do I want to go? What do I want my life to look like? How do I want to architect my life to work in a way that works for me on my terms? And then going out and building it. And I think entrepreneurship is the best vehicle for living a life on your terms exactly the way that you want to do it, because you get to make the rules. And if you're the founder of a business, you get to make the rules on exactly how that business works. For me, one of the most important things in my lifestyle design was I wanted to get out of emergencies. I spent the first 5 or so years, or probably the first 10 years in my business, being the one who was always on call for emergencies. That's why I don't have hair anymore. And so for me, I, as my business matured, wanted to get out of emergency mode. And so I put really great people in line in the business so that there is no reason for any customer to ever have to call Peter. I mean, they don't even have my number, but to call Peter and say, hey, at 10 o'clock on a Sunday night, my email's down. I need you to help fix this. There are way better people in my business to help customers out with those kind of problems, whose job it is to deal with emergencies, who get paid very well for it and love helping out customers in that way. And that means for me, I have the life that I want to have. Now, it took a long time to get there, and it did take a lot of effort to get there, but it is available for everyone. So thank you for this question. I guess I answered it in a roundabout way. Hopefully, I answered it in a roundabout way, but I hope that was useful for you. Okay, so we've got through all of Riley's questions. Thanks for all those. They've been really good, mate. Christian asked to hire people to be part of leadership to help managing and training the rest of your company. When is the best time to do that? And I think he's got a little bit of extra question down here. Should you wait till it's actually needed to free up time for better things? Should you bring on someone to be in their genius zone? He's got a particular point in the business here that is not very strong at organizational stuff. When should it be worth? When should he bring in other people, like a lord or a mechanic? And if you haven't heard of the lord or the mechanic archetypes, this is actually from a framework called Wealth Dynamics. And Wealth Dynamics was created by Roger Hamilton, and it's a little bit like DISC or Myers-Briggs, but it's specifically related to wealth generation and productive work. And this is a test that you can take online. If you Google Wealth Dynamics, then you'll be able to find the test. And that test will give you an idea of what your archetypes are with the way that you work. You can see here some examples of some different archetypes here. And these are, basically based on psychology in the background, introversion and extroversion and being task versus people-based. But what this framework does is allows you and your team to really understand what your superpowers are. And so if you are a business owner and you're looking to get the maximum performance out of your team, well, this is one really great way to do that. Now, I've spoken in other videos about delegation and how you can choose what to delegate first. You really want to delegate the things first that you don't like doing. Then you want to delegate, specialist tasks, and then you want to delegate, at the end, the things that are just, you might like doing them, but they're not great use of your time. But using a framework like Wealth Dynamics can really help you to understand who are the perfect people to put into the perfect positions. So, for example, if you are a creator, well, then you're probably going to need someone who is a good supporter to be around you inside the business. Creator is someone who's always creating and birthing new ideas, but they tend to be the people who are not always great on follow-up or not always great on bringing things through to completion. We all know an entrepreneur like that. You may know them very personally. If someone is a mechanic and they like working on the system or working in the background of the business, tweaking the machine, they may not be the person who is really comfortable promoting the business and actually, like staying out in the limelight and bringing new, vision and bringing new customers in with promos. So they could probably benefit from having a star in the business. Now, for someone who is a lord, where they're the kind of person who is focused on capital allocation and making great investments and trying to make sure that all of the purse strings are held tightly in the business. But they're going to need someone who's going to bring inspiration and new ideas and new strategies into the business. And so they may choose to pair up with a creator. So I think this is a great way of thinking about who you should be bringing into the business and how you should be bringing them into the business. Now, the balance here comes down to the balance of leveraging time and leveraging money. While you are an early stage business and you're doing a lot of the things yourself, then you're probably leveraging your time. But you do have the resource of money that you can leverage to hire other people to do tasks for you. So whether that's an outsourcing service, whether that's a full-time person who's coming on to take advantage of that, whether they're employed in your local economy or an international economy, like potentially the Philippines, which may get you access to top quality talent at a cheaper price than you would pay locally. That's all the things that you need to balance when you're making this decision. But what I would say is to audit the work that you're doing right now and really get honest with yourself about how efficient you are at doing the work. Now, I know that being more on the creative side and, I'm a visionary founder, I'm really great at birthing new ideas and coming up with new strategies. But when it comes to actually implementation and when it comes to, methodical follow-up, that's not necessarily my strongest point. And so I've always found other people inside my business or found other people and brought them into my business to actually help with the execution, because I'm really great at birthing new ideas, executing them, not so much. And so that's why I have those people who are really great at implementing. Now, if I was tasked to implement something, it might take me 6 hours to do a task because I'm procrastinating that someone else could get done in 1 to 2 hours. And that is a literal number. So if you are right now doing a task inside your business that is taking you 6 hours and someone else could do that in 2 hours, well, it really makes sense to delegate that to someone else because you get 6 hours back for the cost of 2 hours of somebody else. And that's where you really start to get some pretty cool leverage. And so I'm always a fan of getting things off my plate that I either don't like doing or I'm not good at. And even the things that I am good at doing that I am maybe not the best person to do in the business, because I know that I'm always going to get return on investment back in my time. Now, I'm in the very privileged position of having built our business to the scale level. And, we have management teams in place and we have phenomenal leaders and we have people who just take care of things for me. I've got a PA who I can just tell things to the PA and she will even work them out with the rest of the team. I don't even have to delegate things to managers, individually anymore if I don't want to. And your role as a business owner between wherever you are now and 20 employees, which is the golden mark, if you're not there yet, is to manage all of these resources effectively. Your time is the most important. If you're spending any of your time on things that are low priority tasks, then you're going to run into trouble. But once you get the business grown to that point, then it just becomes about optimization and really, really being in your genius zone in the business if you want to remain operational in the business so that the business can grow and continue to exceed. Now, if you are a larger scale business and you're trying to work out, who is the perfect person to hire for the right role, and you're 20 employees or above in your business, the one question that I like to ask people is, what is your superpower? And really try and get to the bottom of, what people have been put on this earth to do. And then try and find a way to align people's superpower with a role inside your organization. If you can align someone's personal goals, personal dreams, personal ambitions with the business and actually bring those together, then you're going to have a great chance of building a high-performing team and a high-performing business. All right, cool. Thank you. Thank you very much, Riley. All right. That is the wrong screen. Okay. Christian asks, where do you get your energy, ambition, and drive from? I found I'm so low in drive and the ability to get much done. I was curious about your relationship to that. You have business and lifestyle success, which takes energy and attention. Wonderful question, Christian. Thank you so much for asking this. I've spent a lot of time on designing my lifestyle the way that I wanted it to look. And I happen to be someone who is both ambitious and also disciplined as well. I was lucky enough that I had the patterning from my parents when I was growing up, that I had the opportunity to do anything that I wanted to do in life. And as long as I put my mind towards something, then I would be able to be successful in that. And I deserve to have what I want as long as I was willing to do the work to go after it. So I had that as kind of like a baseline for me from where I started. And then number two, I had an idea of where I wanted to go. When I was young, I was also blessed enough to know that, okay, after 30 years old, I don't want to work too hard. I'd like to have, business and work that is meaningful, but I want to be financially free, and I want to have a business that works on my terms, so I can have lots of freedom to do, work and to live life in a way that is really, really fulfilling for me in creating and being the master of my own life. Now, not everyone has that, and so I completely understand that. But the place to start, I think, is to, number one, give yourself permission to have the life that you want to have. And, I'm not a personal motivational speaker. There's plenty of resources for that, for you to get to that place. But then number two, it's just a matter of creating a plan. And I've got a video on our channel about lifestyle design, which takes you through, the steps in the planning on creating a life that you like. I would say Tim Ferriss is a good resource for lifestyle design. When I read his book, The 4-Hour Workweek, it's not about literally working 4 hours in a week. It's about designing the life that actually works for you, and letting go of all of the cultural norms of working 50 weeks a year and having 2 weeks off, which I think are just absolutely crazy. And so when I read that book, I really got serious about designing the life very specifically the way that I wanted to work. And for me, that was time freedom, money freedom, travel and location independence, and the opportunity to have great relationships, to spend time with family, to have spontaneous travel, and to have a business that is meaningful work that I really enjoy being a part of, that creates impact for myself, for my team, for our customers, and of course for our wider community as well. And I'm feeling blessed that I have pretty much all of those things ticked. Like, I'm up to my third bucket list. I'm very, very grateful with the way that I get to live life, and that I get to share this as well. That's another pretty cool perk. So if you're right now looking to have more motivation, I would say that creating and architecting a life where you feel blessed to be doing the work that you're doing, where you feel blessed to be moving through life with everything feeling in alignment. I think lifestyle design actually comes down to that, because that's about having a conscious plan to create the life that works for you. When that happens, it's pretty hard to be unhappy. It's pretty difficult when everything's that good. And I don't know if it was Steve Jobs or Richard Branson who said, if you love your work, then you never have to work a day in your life. And, simplistically, that's harder than it sounds, because if you're a photographer and you start a photography business, you're going to have to do, the hard slog of actually building a business, and you'll probably then lose the love of photography, and like you become separated from actually doing photography because all of a sudden you're leading a business instead of snapping photos. And there is a hard road to actually not working a day in your life. But the reality is, for myself, I really enjoy helping people. And when I started my business, it was literally helping people remove viruses from their computers. It was helping business owners to fix their IT systems, and I mean, it wasn't Google Drive back then, but helping them to organize their computer file systems. And that's the stuff that I enjoyed doing. Now, I had a very long arc of building a business and management teams and all those other things that needed to be built along the way. And I've now come full circle, which I think most business owners will get the opportunity to do if you build a successful business, where I'm back helping business owners again, which is doing what I love. My primary job right now is to present on our channel, and that is helping business owners, which I love doing. And that to me brings the personal fulfillment. Even though it doesn't look exactly like it did in the past, I am pretty thankful that I don't feel like I'm doing work anymore. It feels pretty good. So hopefully that is useful for you, Christian. Thank you so much for the question. And I look forward to catching the next question for you. All right, we're officially out of questions. So, I'm so grateful that we finally have some questions coming through on the chat. So if you're on the live, drop any questions that you've got right now. This is your last chance for me to answer questions. Otherwise, I'm going to have to wrap up soon because we're out of questions until the next one. Okay. So we have a question here from Wiley. How do you establish SOPs and KPIs in your business? My recommendation for you, Wiley, would be to go and watch the video System for Creating Systems on our channel, and then search for anything, including the words Google Sites as well, because I've got a number of videos on how to create how to write good business systems. Number two, what was the number two? See, now I'm starting to get a little bit tired. My brain's starting to fade. Number two is search for Google Sites, because I've got practical advice on how to actually document it all using Google Sites. We also, number three, have a course. If you join Genius Academy, jump on the link below, jump on top of the billing transfer offer, and you will get access to Genius Academy, where I have a Systemize Your Business course, which teaches you how to use Google Sites and how to build an intranet like we have built out in our Google Sites here. So that'll actually teach you how to do that, how to build it, how to structure it. And we even have, if you're a concierge customer, we even have a free template. And so if you're interested in getting access to a free intranet template for Google Sites, then you've got the skeleton framework of your intranet already built out. You just got to go and fill it in. Then if you're a concierge customer, the team will hook you up with that. Cool. All right. Ali asks, who inspires you when you are in a funk? Are there any go-to audio or visual resources? That is a wonderful question, Ali. I rely less on cognitive inspiration when I'm in a funk these days. In the past, I would certainly listen to maybe some Tony Robbins or some Richard Branson or other authors or entrepreneurs or, leaders that I like. But I was in a bit of a funk this morning. I woke up and I was a little bit tired, and I did a big workout yesterday and my body was still recovering from that. And I actually didn't really feel like doing this live stream. And instead of cognitive processes or listening to others for inspiration, I've actually done a lot of work with embodiment. And so what my go-to was to have a shower, put some music on, and have a dance. And I've got to say, moving energy through my body with breath, sound, and movement. So breath is actually breathing, and I did have a cold shower. Number two, sound, actually moving the energy through my body. And number three, movement, which for me was dancing. That's actually how I move energy through the body. And that helps me to move through the stagnant energy of the funk if there is a funk that I'm stuck in. So that would be my recommendation rather than cognitive processes for entrepreneurs and visionary founders who have a lot of tasks on their plate, who have lots of challenges to deal with, who have a million things on their to-do list and their task list. Doing something else that is cognitive may just add to your overwhelm and may not actually fix the problem. If you're looking at it psychologically as well, if you're in a funk, it may be anxiety, it may be burnout, it may, there may be some unprocessed emotion, which is kind of like lingering in the back of your mind that has not yet been addressed. Doing something that has more cognitive load may not actually be helpful. And so my recommendation would be breath, sound, movement when you're in a funk. And if you want to learn more about that, then drop me a PM on socials and I will, I'll message you through some resources for that. Christian, who is asking the questions on this very live stream, is actually somebody that I turn to who helps with embodiment. And so I'd recommend you check out some of Christian's resources, and I'll drop them down in the show notes here as well. Cool. Okay. Thank you so much. Ali said, interesting concept. Yeah. Having a dance. It's the way. Yes. Entrepreneur overwhelm and entrepreneur burnout is a real thing. I'm going to finish up here. Thank you so much for joining. If this was your first live stream, thank you very much for being a part of it. Really, really grateful to have you here. If you have not yet already started doing business with us, jump onto the link down below here and transfer your billing into IT Genius. If you're interested in a free consultation with our team, then you can, of course, get access to a free consultation if you qualify. We provide those for small business owners all over the world. No matter how many employees you have, just drop in the details to the team and they will be able to help you out. If you're interested in learning more about what we do, well, jump on the channel, watch some of our other videos. Make sure you check out the Growth Roadmap video. I'm pretty sure that's linked on the channel intro, but that's going to take you through the different stages of technology that are needed based on where you're at in business. That's a pretty good guide for what we do, because let me tell you, there is a lot. There is a lot that we do, and there's a lot that we help business owners with. But our core mission here is to help you systemize, organize, and scale using really great technology. Primarily, that's Google Workspace, but whether you need a CRM system, a cloud-based phone system, task management, and getting those processes set up, if you need to document systems, if you need to migrate data, if you need to connect automations between different apps using Zapier, if you want to make your business run more efficiently through automations, if you want to get a super sexy dashboard of all of your business statistics built with custom automations and integrations between all the different apps in your business, that's all the stuff that we do. We're about helping small business owners play a bigger game. And if you want to join us, join the IT Genius family. Till next time, thank you, fam, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.